just started it.
Well, I thought it was
Just like bam, extra credit.
Okay, 2.5, here we go.
Would be a jump,
2.5. Okay, so we did, for x is less than -3, since we forgot to turn the camera on, you normally would have put an open circle and you would have shaded to the left, right? So now instead of an open circle, we do a parenthesis. Sound like a broken record, huh? And you're gonna use interval notation, you're gonna write -infinity to -3, parentheses. Yes.
If you were to do like x is greater than -3, would you put parentheses the other way?
You would go like this. That's a good question. So if you have a -3 and you're going this way, you would say -3 to positive infinity. Okay, did you get it? All right, what if it said a closed circle? Okay, so now what are we gonna do different?
Right.
Bracket.
Good job. A bracket. And now, this question comes up every year. You always put a parenthesis with infinity, whether it's -infinity or positive infinity. We never use brackets with infinity. We use parentheses, okay? All right, now we're gonna keep building on here. What if I said, I want you to graph x is less than 5 and greater than or equal to -3. How does this, in ninth grade, we would have done at -3 a closed circle, right? And an open circle at 5, and we would have shaded in between, right? That's in ninth grade. And now we're in pre-calc, what do we do instead? We do a bracket at -3, we do a parenthesis at 5, we still shade, still darken one region, okay? And now, how do you write this answer? Instead of writing it like this, we have an easier way to write it. What do we write? Bracket -3, comma, infinity, comma 5, parenthesis. Easy? Okay, now, last one. What if you have an open circle at -3 and you shade left, and you have a closed circle at 5 and you shade right? This is an OR problem, right?
Yeah.
Anyone think they know how to write this answer in interval notation? It would have looked like this in ninth grade. That's how that would have looked, but what are you gonna do in this class? Anyone think they know? What's the graph gonna look like? That's easy.
2 lines.
A parenthesis, right? And a bracket, that's easy, right? And now, does anyone think they know how to write the answer in interval notation on this one? -infinity, comma, -3, parenthesis, union, whoops, bracket, 5, comma, infinity. Union. Union means this together, yes. Combine them. Okay? So that's what this stuff talks about right here in so many words in your notes. Let's start practicing some problems. Would you be able to represent, this is an interval, can you show me what it looks like graphed?
Oh,
What would you do? 3, it's got, I see a parenthesis and a bracket, so what should I do to graph it? These are called our critical numbers, 3 and 9, and what should I do? Put a parenthesis with 3, and what else? A bracket at 9, anything else I should do? Yep, darken the middle part. Huh?
Huh?
What?
Oh no, my phone was ringing and with the new iOS 7, I don't know how to decline calls.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, how would you do letter B? Bracket -3, bracket 6, and you'd shade it in between, right? These are easy. How about letter A? Can you write this in interval notation? What does it look like? A 5 with a bracket. This is I'm doing the graph of it. Okay, now how would you write this in inequality? In parentheses, -4. Very smart. Okay, how about B? X is less than -4. The graph of it looks like this. How does the answer look in interval notation? Very good. Very smart. Okay, now we're going to jump into solving inequalities. And here are the basic principles. You know that you basically do what you do with solving equations. The only new thing, and it's not new to you, but just to review, this number 3, whenever you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative, what do you do to the inequality sign? You flip it, reverse it, okay? You remember that, right? So, write small because I didn't leave a lot of room for you here, unfortunately, I just didn't. How do you solve A? How do you get, this is a 9th grade question, just to review. What should you do? I want you to solve this. Get x's, that's where you should start. So I'm going to bring 3x to the other side, add 3x. Okay, so you get 5 is greater than 10x minus 3. Next. Add 3. So you get 8 is greater than 10x, and then what? 2/5? 4/5. 4/5 is greater than x. I like to reverse it. X is less than 4/5. Now, how are you going to write this answer in interval notation? Because we're in a different class now. We're not writing it this way. How will you write the answer? -infinity, comma, 4/5 parenthesis. Get it? Excellent. Letter B. What's the first thing that jumps out at you on this problem? Fractions. Ugh, fractions. How do we eliminate fractions? We're going to multiply everything by 12. 12, 12, 12, 12 everything. 12 everything. There's a plus sign, 12. All right, so now, 4 goes into 12 how many times? 3. What do I do with this 3 in the x minus 1? Distribute, I heard. So it's 3x minus 3, right? Now, what happens with the 12 and the 2x? What do I do with it? I get 24x. I'm going to multiply. Now, greater than. What do I do with this 3 and the 12? 3 goes into 12 4 times. Now, what do I do with the 4? 8x minus 4, right? And then 12 times 2 is 24. Now, no more fractions. Simple as that. Get rid of those fractions. Now, on the left side, what do I get? 27x minus 3, and then 8x plus 20, right? What else? Subtract 8x from 27x, what do you get? 19x. Add 3 and divide. It's just an ugly fraction. It's a rational number. And don't think you have it wrong because it didn't come out 2 or 4 or those kind of numbers. That's the correct answer. Now, how would you write this answer in interval notation? 23/19, comma, whoops, 23/19, comma, infinity. Sorry, my paper kind of. 23/19, comma, infinity. I'll write it here. 23/19, comma, infinity. Easy? Okay, how do you do this or one? Review, how do you do the or? You do them each separately and you combine them both on one graph. So on the left side, we will simply subtract 7. You get 2x is less than or equal to negative 28. Divide by 2, and x is less than or equal to negative 14, right? Don't forget to bring down that word, it's very important. And then on this side, 3x plus 6 is greater than 10. Subtract 6, sorry, and you get 4 and divide by 3. Easy stuff. So let's draw this graph. What does it look like? It would be at negative 14, and you would shade this way, left, and a parenthesis at 4/3, and you would shade this way. Can anyone give me the answer in interval notation? The way we talked about it. Negative infinity. What kind of 14?
Bracket.
You?
4/3.
You got it. Easy? Okay. Backside, letter C. What do you want to do on this one? Separate them, or can you do them all in one, can you do it in one shot? Make it easy. How would we do this in one shot? You would subtract 3 here, subtract 3 here, and subtract 3 here. So you get 1 is less than negative 5x less than 15, right? Divide by what? And then switch the signs. So what do I get? Negative 1/5 is greater than x greater than negative 3. How does this thing look when I graph it? Be careful, because sometimes the numbers are not in the right order. Negative 3 should be on this side. So watch your graph, make sure it's right. This is saying x is greater than negative 3 and it's less than negative 1/5. So it's between negative 3 and negative 1/5. A lot of times what I'll see students do on this, something like this, is they'll go like this, and it's wrong. Why is this wrong? It's backwards, right? Negative 3, negative 1/5 is bigger, so that's not right. It's not right. So you're shading in between here. Now how do you write the answer in interval notation? It looks just like this. Negative 3, comma, negative 1/5. It's not an ordered pair, it's interval notation. Are we good? Everyone good? Yeah? All right, this next one, unfortunately, you can't do it in one shot. You're going to have to split this one up. Because there's a variable in the middle, here and here on this side, you're not going to do this in one shot. So what you're going to do, if I put my finger over here, that's one of the 2 inequalities, and the other one would be this one right here. 3x plus 5 is less than 2x plus 11. So break this up now. This one you're going to want to break up. So you have, let's do 2 is less than or equal to 3x plus 5. And, the word is and 3x plus 5 is less than 2x plus 11. Is everyone good? Okay, so on the left side, how do you solve this? Subtract 5. So you have negative 3 is less than or equal to 3x. Divide by 3, and you get negative 1 is less than or equal to x. I would reverse it. And don't forget the word. Very important. I'm very picky about that. On the right side, I'm going to subtract, this is an easy one, subtract 2x and then subtract 5. What do you get? X is greater than 6. So where is my solution for this and? It's in between -1 and 6. So how would we write the answer? Bracket -1, 6 with parentheses. Is everyone okay? All right, now we're gonna do something a little different. I want you to look at letter B down all the way at the bottom, right here, B. This is a quadratic inequality. On the left side, we have x squared minus 7x plus 10, and then we have less than or equal to 0. Think of less than 0 as a negative number. Okay, so what I want you to factor this left side. How can you break this up? It's going to be factorable. X minus 5 and x minus 2. I need my zeros. What would the 0 be here? 5, and what would this 0 be? Now I want you to draw a number line, and I want you to position these two numbers on a number line. So 2 first, and then 5. You should see 3 regions, 3 intervals. Let's list all of our intervals. Interval A, we're going to call, A is between -infinity and 2. Interval B is 2 to 5. And interval C is going to be 5 to infinity. Does everybody see what I just did? My critical numbers, my zeros, gave me 3 regions. What you're going to do is you're going to test a point in each of these regions. Pick a point, not these critical numbers. You're going to test a point. So in interval -infinity to 2, I like the number 0. Whenever possible, I like the number 0. What you're going to do is plug this number into your broken up factored form, and you're going to tell me how many negatives and how many positives you get, because an odd number of negatives gives me a negative, so I can tell if it's true or false. So if I plug 0 in right here, what's 0 minus 5? Is it a positive or a negative? A negative. And what's 0 minus 2? Is that a negative or a positive? A negative. What's a negative times a negative? Positive. Is a positive number less than 0? No. So A doesn't work. A is not good. Let's try B. Give me a test point in B. 3 I heard? 3? Let's try 3. If you put 3 right here, do you get positive or negative? Negative. How about here? Positive or negative? Positive. What's a negative times a positive? A negative. So guess what? This region works. So it's good. So we darken it. How about between 5 and infinity? Give me a point, a number to choose. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100, whatever. You're going to get a positive times a positive, and a positive times a positive is a positive, and a positive number is not less than 0. Now, we've got to make some decision. Do we include 5 and 2?
Yes.
Yes. Because the equal to 0 is there, we are going to bracket these. If that bar were not there, they would be parentheses. So what's your final answer for this? Bracket 2, comma, 5, bracket. That's the solution. Okay, now let's go a little bit more deeper into this stuff right here. Okay, this one's already factored for us. Can you tell me the critical numbers here? What are they? -5, 2, and 8. So can we organize these numbers on a number line? Yes. What comes first? -5, and then 2, and they happen to be in that order. How many regions do you see? 4. So region A is going to be -infinity to -5. Region B is going to be -5 to 2. C is going to be 2 to 8. And D is going to be 8 to infinity. Now, we have to test a point in each of these regions. And this one's saying less than or equal to 0. So let's pick -10 for this one. If we put -10 here, Is this gonna come out positive or negative? What's negative 10 plus 5? Is it a positive or negative? Negative. Now this is a tricky one here. It's an easy one actually. No matter what number you put here and you raise it to the 6th power, what's it gonna come out to be? No matter what, positive, because it's an even power. This is always positive. And what about here? Negative 5 minus 8 is a negative number. So what's a negative times a negative? How many negatives do you have here? I have 2, so is this gonna come out positive or negative? Positive, so it didn't work, yeah. How about negative 5 to 2? What's an easy number to test? 0. If you plug a 0 here, that's gonna come out positive, a 0 positive, and a 0 here is negative. Does this middle part work? Yes, so we're gonna darken it. We're gonna darken it. How about from 2 to 8? Let's pick 4. What do we get here? Positive, positive, and negative. Positive, positive, negative. Does that 2 to 8 work? Yep, it does. And from 8 to infinity, it's going to be all positives. That does not work. This region doesn't work. So what is my solution? Negative 5 to 8. And they all work, everything inside. Even the 2 works, so we color it all in, the whole thing. All right, the only thing I'm going to quickly talk about, and I'm going to let you guys use whatever time to do homework. This problem right here would involve using the quadratic. In order to get your zeros, you would definitely have to use the quadratic formula. Okay? And the quadratic formula would generate, I'm not going to go over it because we've already talked about it. You can't simply factor this one. So to get your zeros, you would need to use the quadratic formula. You end up getting these 2 numbers, which I don't know exactly, if I had to test a point to the left or to the right of this, I would need to convert this answer to my decimal equivalent answers so I can test a point. This is what you're going to be doing when we whip out the graphing calculator, and I will show you another way how to do these. And I just wanted to give you a little taste of what, if you were to use the graphing calculator, this is the picture you would get. These 2 answers are these 2 right here, negative 3 plus and minus the square root of 41 over 4. That's what they are. But converted to decimals, that's the equivalent of them. So if we want to see where the graph is less than or equal to 0, it's this bottom region right here. This is it right here. So how would we answer that? It would be in between these 2 numbers, so it's the interval between negative 3 plus and minus root 41 over 4. So you could write your answer like this, or better yet, the best answer would be negative 3 minus root 41 over 4, comma, negative 3 plus root 41 over 4. And that would be interval notation. And that's what your answers are going to start to look like when you get more deep into this stuff. So your homework for tonight, which will be on YouTube, is to do 5 through 51. I'm going to change it to every other odd. If you feel you need more practice on these, if they're not coming out nicely for you, if you're struggling, I suggest you do the 5 to 51 odd, okay? So bare minimum, do 5 to 51 every other odd, and that should get you through.